There are many reasons why Steam is, objectively, the best platform for PC games. It has the biggest library, the best sales, custom profile pics, the community tab, reviews from actual customers, and Pjorn. But easily, the best feature of Steam has to be the Steam Workshop. The Steam Workshop is basically easy to install mods for certain games. Not every game that has mods uses the Steam Workshop, but for the ones that do, you're only one click away from experiencing Cursed Halo 3. It's a beautiful thing. Some of the best workshops includes Rivals of Aether, which has an entire community making custom characters. Golf with Friends lets you experience the 13th Circle of Hell. Oh! And the possibilities are endless with Teardown.
Oh no.
But easily, the best Steam Workshop is the Sega Genesis Collection. For some games in the collection, there's simple mods like Unlimited Lives, but for games like Streets of Rage 2, you have a huge selection of custom characters. From being able to play as enemies, bosses, sprites from other games, even custom-made sprites. You ever wanted to see Diglett in Streets of Rage 2? Well, here you go, you sick fuck. There are also the many different Sonic fan mods that have been made over the years. So if you got the games before they got delisted, thanks, Sonic Origins, you can experience a lot of cool shit. My favorite mod is Sonic 2 XL, which replaces the rings with onion rings, and the more you collect, the fatter you get. The fat guy physics are surprisingly good. So you actually have to avoid the onion rings or else Sonic can't move and dies of a heart attack. It's hilarious. Obesity is not a joke. 300,000 Americans die every year of obesity. It's a shame the Sonic trilogy got delisted, but if you were somehow able to put the correct files into the correct folder, you can enjoy these fan mods through Steam. However, what makes this workshop the best is that people have modded entire Genesis games into the other games. Because the files are so small, you can access full Genesis games within the mod menus of other games. A huge portion of the Genesis library is available right on Steam. And if you buy the collection on sale, you essentially have hundreds of games you can play for like $8. I wasn't sure if I should even make a video about this, but this workshop has been publicly available for years. If Sega or any other company had a problem with this, they would have done something by now. I could have called this video how to get hundreds of games on Steam for $8, but that's not what this video is about. You see, buried in the collection of Genesis games, people have uploaded bootleg games. Yes, there are bootleg games that you can play directly through Steam. I went through the thousands of workshop items to find every single bootleg I could, played them all, and I'm only covering the ones that are actually funny. These ROMs have been passed around in bootleg carts and Brazilian plug-and plays throughout the decades, but now a good chunk of them you can play through an official Steam game. Are these games any good? Why do you keep asking stupid questions? To start off, we have Plants vs. Zombies. Oh, Crazy Dave wasn't crazy. This whole time he was just speaking Chinese. This game is actually a pretty good recreation of Plants vs. Zombies, minus any animation or menus. You just have to scroll through every single plant you have with the A button. There's no real indication of how much sun power you're getting, so you just have to wait for the number to go up. But other than that, it's Plants vs. Zombies, surprisingly. There's no save feature, so you have to do the entire game in one go. I didn't get far in this game, but I imagine it's going to just use the yard map for everything. They didn't even color the sprites brown, so it's confusing why you can't move during the first few levels. Oh, and all the instructions are in Russian. The sprites kind of look like they've been reposted on iFunny 40 times. Can you imagine Ninja playing this in Times Square? Plants vs. Zombies was probably one of the more simple games they could make a bootleg out of, and they honestly stripped it down to its essentials for a somewhat faithful recreation. So, if you somehow can't fork over the $5 for Plants vs. Zombies on Steam, dear God, get your shit together, man. Here we have Despicable Me 2, or however you say it in Russian. Yeah, pretty much all of these bootlegs are in Russian. That's just how it is. No allegiance, I swear. One thing I noticed with these games is that if it looks kind of good, then it was probably a different game and they just changed the character sprites. This game is confusing at first. I started to collect these gems, but then I saw these ramps and I didn't know how to use them. Then I found out you can make Kevin follow you. Or is it Stuart? I'm actually not sure because the tall one doesn't have one eye. So they already fucked up the Minions lore. I figured out you can kick Stuart, which is what the ramps are for. After that, it's pretty easy, but Kevin's AI is absolutely atrocious. Come on, Dimitri. I expected better programming from you. So I thought you had to collect all the gems, but it turns out the game will just take you to the next level anyway. Or a bonus stage? I don't know what the fuck is going on. All I know is that there is no one piloting this submarine, and it explodes when touched. Oh, I guess they're fine. It's a bad game, but brother, it's gonna get so much worse. Alright, now this is the shit I'm talking about. Bean Tin. Alright, we got the story told in Russian. Good. We got off-color screenshots. Nice. And we have a poorly placed cursor over Ben's 10-incher. Alright, now this is a fucking bootleg. And it's the worst beat 'em up I've ever played in my life. You fight the same 3 enemies. All of them have the same attack. And Ben only has one combo. He doesn't even have a jump attack. I played this game for 15 goddamn minutes and Ben doesn't transform into an alien once. Finally! I've always wanted to fight as normal human Ben. You'd think since there's one combo, they were saving the animation for another alien. But no, this is it. The enemies can hurt you even if you have them stuck in a combo, which is bullshit, but all you have to do is hit them a couple times and then move slightly, and you'll never get hurt. And I don't know if they fucked up the sound mixing, but your hits have the most minimal sound effects ever. Punching someone sounds like dropping a paperclip. Why do we go from the forest into a church, and why is the church playing the moon theme from DuckTales? This bootleg is just boring. I mean, at least give me a horrifying game over screen. Ben 10 with blood and a slightly off art style? Alright, I'll take it. Oh, and everyone's a zombie now, I guess. Next up is a very ambitious port for the Genesis, Duke Nukem 3D. This was actually distributed by Tectoy, a Brazilian toy company that releases Sega Master System and Genesis games as plug-and-plays, and they still release them to this day. They supposedly got the rights to make this port, although 3D Realms never officially gave them permission. This port was in legal limbo for decades, but was still released on other Tectoy consoles like the Zeebo. It's funny that there was so much legal drama over such a terrible port. This is Duke Nukem 3D stripped down to just walking and shooting. No sprawling levels or the interactivity that made Duke Nukem 3D such a hit. Just shooting things in a linear hallway. Now how does an FPS work on a 3-button Genesis controller? Well, Duke operates on tank controls, which the game is not balanced for. A interacts and C shoots. If you want to strafe, you have to hold B while pressing right or left. It's not good, and I couldn't get past the second room on normal difficulty. You can't even tell what the enemies are, let alone actually hit them. The only redeeming quality of this game are those highly compressed, classic Duke quotes.
My dopamine receptors are fried from constant pornography use.
Mortal Kombat 5 is a bootleg of MK Mythology's Sub-Zero, the worst Mortal Kombat game.
You will fail.
So this is going to be great. Right off the bat, they just picked whatever font they wanted. They spelled combat with a C. This game is kind of like a 2D beat 'em up. You use A to punch, B to kick, and you turn around with C. Press the C button rapidly and Sub-Zero starts dancing. The game immediately throws you into a fight, and I found the best method is to just let them walk into your kicks. Could you please stop doing that? You go into the next room and face your deadliest challenge. Drops of Mountain Dew. I mean, I shouldn't even get hit by something that's technically dropping in the foreground. Well, that wasn't so bad. The pillars are total bullshit. Half the time you can dodge them, but even if you inch by trying to get them to go down, you'll just get hit anyway. Then you don't have enough health for the fight in the next room. Another orange Kano. I'm really just confused by this game. Like, the Mortal Kombat trilogy was on Genesis, so why make a bootleg of the worst Mortal Kombat game? And why skip to 5? I guess technically there wasn't a game officially called Mortal Kombat 5, but you're just confusing little Pablo over here. Here we have Tekken 3 Special. Yeah, it's special alright. So obviously they couldn't make a 3D fighter on the Genesis, but you could have at least given the characters mouths. Nina doesn't even have a chin. You can punch, kick, dodge, and that's it. Also, the health bars are reversed. The green actually goes up as you get hit. Just, how do you make a health bar confusing? Oh shit, Paul. You alright? This game is slow, unresponsive, and, oh yeah, not fun. How could Tekken 3 Russian bootleg for the Genesis be one of the worst fighting games I've ever played? I am flabbergasted. Here we have Spongebob Squarepants. Or perhaps I should say, Gubka Bob
Губка Боб квадратные штаны.
What the fuck is this language? Ah, yes, there's the sponge we all know and love, with his trademark gloves. I mean, just look at that face. This is a reskin of the game Cool Spot, with the only difference being the SpongeBob sprite. I gotta say, Cool Spot is a pretty graphically impressive Genesis game, so I'm surprised how much work they put into this reskin. It looks nothing like SpongeBob, but hey, there was effort. So the game is just Cool Spot, a pretty decent platformer, although this one starts you off in one of the later bathtub levels. I guess they were just thinking bath, water, sponge, Bob. It's honestly a really hard level to start out with. There are tons of bottomless pits and leaps of faith. Look at SpongeBob in the corner, thinking of all the damage he's done. Yeah, just play Cool Spot. Or don't, I'm not your dad. Here's a question. When is something popular enough to get a bootleg? Because here's Open Season, based on the Ashton Kutcher vehicle. Can you guess which sprite doesn't fit? This is clearly a ROM hack of another game, and you know what? I'm not gonna bother finding out which one. Each level, you gotta kill this guy so you can get the key to free your friends. All while this deer keeps mouth breathing. Your biggest enemy is hills because you go supersonic speed down these fuckers. God damn it, I just wanted the vacuum. The only other notable thing is that you can control this bird on the world map and have him trapped in the Shadow Realm. You know, I have to wonder, were the games that these bootlegs were based on already bad, or did the bootleg actually make them worse? Kung Fu Panda 2 has all your favorites from the movie. We got Rabbit, Tigress, Tai Lung, the thing from Ice Age, Balto, and Po. Who's Po? Well, I'll try Balto first. Why not? Oh no. This is a reskin of one of the worst fighting games of all time. Brutal Paws of Fury. I only know about this game because I had a friend in high school who loved it. He turned out to be a furry. He's flying drones for the military now. I hope he's doing well. So yeah, they just changed the colors around for this game to kind of resemble the characters. Keep in mind, half of them aren't from Kung Fu Panda. I mean, most of these they didn't even try. Like, the sex wolf is a fox lady, and this Chester cheetah is supposed to be Tigress. Oh, and the game's terrible. Here we have Pocket Monsters, a bootleg that another popular YouTuber has played. I think his name was John Hitler or something. You play as Pikachu, who's gotten really good at walking with 2 legs, and apparently is filled with lead because every time he jumps, it sounds like a toolbox being dropped. The game has a mixture of non-Pokemon and actual Pokemon in glorious bootleg form. I don't want to see Porygon with a mouth ever again. The platforming is really weird. It feels like the game can't keep up with you properly, so you have to keep waiting for the camera to readjust. In a 2D game. Well, there's nothing else too special. Oh my god! That pincer is huge. How the fuck do I beat him? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Jump on top of the giant spiked pincers on his head. Beautiful. Pocket Monsters 2. A sequel, I guess, to the previous Pokemon bootleg. Look at that adorable bootleg Pikachu. Shut up! Well, we got another slightly deformed Pikachu. You're getting close, Chinese sweatshop developers. There's a few obvious non-Pokemon, but at least the actual Pokemon this time look like themselves. Except for the lost shiny Oddish with a nose. Platforming here is a little better, I think. Here's a comparison. Next is Pokemon 2. Not to be confused with Pocket Monsters 2. This is a sequel to Pokemon. Come to think of it, there's never been a game that's just been called Pokemon. Dude, I don't think we should have smoked that Oddish. So this fucking acid trip is a maze game where you have to avoid classic Pokemon like Pharaoh, US Soldier, and Death. This definitely feels like a reskin of another game, but I have no idea what that game is. The only thing I recognize is the music from Cool Spot. Why is it always Cool Spot? Also, what the hell is this place? Why are the drinks as big as the piano? You just have to go around collecting these balls. And if the enemy finds you, they are not getting off your tail. It's not like Pac-Man where you can actually kill them or outrun them. You just have to be followed by death for the rest of the level. Like he does with all of us. Oh, I guess the Pokeball ends the level. Man, Togepi has seen some shit. The second level looks like an AI-generated image. The only thing that's comprehensible is a tent. Let's move on. So this isn't actually a bootleg, but a fan-made project, Silent Hill. It's a retelling of the first Silent Hill game in the style of a visual novel. Unfortunately, this copy doesn't have any music, save for the occasional sound effect. Honestly, this thing is pretty cool. I haven't played the Silent Hill games, but I think fans might get a kick out of it. But I'm also not a big visual novel guy, so time to speedrun this shit. Ah, shit. An actual puzzle? Well, there goes my speedrunning career. Someday, but not today. Let's take another slight detour and look at possibly the coolest thing on this workshop. The prototype for the unreleased Akira game. It's 8 levels, or as the game calls them, obviously these are all unfinished and early builds of each level. First one is a motorcycle level where you can't actually hit anything. At least you can hump your bike. Level 2 is a dungeon crawler, or at least that's what I gathered from the brief flashes of gameplay that appear. I don't know if this is how the game is or because of emulation, but I can't see shit. Level 3 is a side-scroller in the sewers. It's incredibly clunky and you can jump on literally everything. Level 4 is another dungeon crawler that I can't fucking see anything. Level 5 is a thing with a ship. Nothing special, although you can just push the other ships down instead of shooting them. Level 6 is a recreation of the iconic bridge scene. I don't know about you guys, but this game works fine. Level 7 is kind of a 2D beat 'em up, and there he goes. Fuck this, I'm out of here. Level 8 I assume was supposed to be like a fighting game, but it's just a still image. It's funny to see one of the most impressive animated films of all time represented like this. The coolest thing about this prototype is that they have clips from the movie animated in pixel art, and they actually look really good. This prototype is a cool novelty for Akira fans, but obviously it's far from playable. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to play Angry Birds without the physics? Well, that's what this bootleg of Angry Birds Star Wars is. You use this arrow to aim and these bars to control your speed. Nothing actually falls over, so you have to hit the pigs perfectly. Yeah, this isn't good. I noticed some of these bootlegs use a playlist of the same Genesis remixes, so the music is different each time. Something about this song, though, sounds familiar. Oh my god. Here we have the non-Star Wars version of Angry Birds. Angry Birds. And hey, it actually has the music. Still no physics though. This Angry Birds lets you use the D-pad to control a cursor, which you think would be better, but you have to keep slowly dragging it all the way to the left of the screen every time you launch a bird. This is honestly worse than the Star Wars version because it's actually harder to control where to launch the birds. You know, I never thought I'd say this, but bootleg Genesis Angry Birds is way worse than bootleg Genesis Angry Birds Star Wars. I really thought I would never say that. Iron Man opens up with the Star Fox theme. Hey, at least that's kind of appropriate. You know, they both fly. It's a Mega Man ripoff where everything runs on cartoon gears. The first screen just immediately throws you into the shit. You have an enemy that spawns right next to you and a sentry firing missiles at you. Shooting or getting hit kills your momentum, and the first gap is barely wide enough to jump over. These regular goons take 5 damn hits to take down, and their invincibility lasts way too long. You son of a bitch, don't walk slowly towards me. You literally have to be right on the edge to get enough hits on this guy. And when I did get enough hits, I got scared and then he respawned. Alright, enough of this. Oh my god. That's kinda horrifying. This is actually an illustration from Malachi Maloney, and they thought it would be a good death screen for this Funko Pop shit. Lego Batman also starts with the Star Fox theme, and Batman looking out into nothing. That's not even the bat signal, that's the Bat DVD screensaver. This game is an action platformer. A platformer that stutters every time you jump. You can punch goons, but they couldn't even bother with a punching sound effect. So you're just spazzing out until the goons disappear.
Is that the Riddler?
Also, the goons will just randomly hit you, even if you repeatedly punch them. All the hitboxes are jank. I mean, this spike still hits me, even though I land on the other platform. Batman doesn't have an outline, so sometimes your fist will just disappear into the background. This game also has the same random playlist of music, which makes it so on the same level it can go from a lighthearted romp to the most intense shit ever. This is a tolerable bootleg, which means I gave up because I was bored and not because I died. Moving on to another Lego game, this time Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh man, looks like Lego Johnny Depp during the Lego Amber Heard trial. Look at Lego Jack Sparrow just grooving out. It's a platformer where you have to collect all the coins in each level. His default stance is him staring into your soul. I like how he faces you during his jump. By the game's logic, he's jumping sideways. A lot of the coins are hidden behind objects in the foreground, so you just have to keep jumping around. I swear, I thought my coin counter was one of the coins. I mean, it blends in perfectly. In the menu, you can also play this ship minigame. Wow, this game is full of content. You're just avoiding rocks, and you can go either turtle slow or fucking Mach 5. This is one of the least offensive bootlegs on the list. If this was like a Flash game on the Lego website, and I was an even stupider 6-year-old, I'd probably play it for 10 minutes. Felix the Cat is actually just a port of the NES game, which is actually quite good. It controls well, but it uses the same loop of bootleg Genesis music that just doesn't fit. I mean, the NES game is already good, so there's not much to say about that. Hercules, MCMXCVII. Is that a woman? What is this woke bullshit? So this isn't even a reskin. They just put Hercules in the title screen for a completely different game, which is another trend you'll see with these bootlegs. It's actually pretty cool. It's a 2D hack and slash where you can ride monsters. This game is actually a Japanese exclusive called Dana Megami Tanjo. And honestly, it's worth checking out. I've never been more delighted to be lied to. Except that one time. Up next is GTA 5. No kidding. Are these bootleg games like the Asylum films of games? Like, are they made just to confuse grandmas? Oh, damn. Surprisingly, this isn't GTA 5, but this is a pretty impressive looking Genesis game. You got a pseudo 3D combat racing game that also has a rear view mirror, and when the enemies get close, it opens up a side window so you can blast them with a shotgun. This game doesn't have the best controls. It's one of those old 90s games where the developers were incredibly ambitious with the limited hardware, and that's commendable. When your car runs out of gas, you can actually walk outside and blast enemies there. The game is Outlander, and while it's pretty clunky, it's worth at least checking out. 0 out of 10, no Lamar. Surprisingly, this was the only Shrek bootleg I could find. Shrek 2. You remember when Shrek was 1 inch tall and was trapped in a kid's bedroom? Oh god, what is that mouth animation? So I guess you can suck up and spit things. Either that or Shrek is a telepath. Oh, and the floor kills you. This one's called Rickroll. It can't be that obvious, right? I didn't know what I expected. So this is probably one of the lowest quality Rickrolls in existence, but I'm a little disappointed it's not using the Genesis sound font. I found like 5 of them with one YouTube search. How are you supposed to Rickroll somebody with this? It's called Rickroll on the workshop. You have to intentionally download it onto your computer, and then you have to play it in the game. Is this like a Memento situation, except you're Rickrolling yourself? Here's a Disney bootleg that June Troon hasn't played yet. The Lion King 3, Reserection. You can choose between young Simba or old Simba, or as the game calls them, and I'll go with... It's a platformer that uses the same sprites as the Genesis game. The game starts you off with this swinging section, and it's the most bullshit thing I've ever seen in a first level. I never figured out how it works. Anytime I swung, it was by accident. Oh, hello, Vulture from Donkey Kong Country. You sure do blend in seamlessly. What the hell is going on with Simba's face on the bottom right? Looks like his head is cracking open. Alright, enough of this. Let's try young Simba. It's the same fucking level! Continuing the Disney bootlegs, here's A Bug's Life, which starts out with this beautifully animated cutscene. Ant Island? What do they have there?
Apes, but they're not so big.
This one is a port of the Game Boy Color game, but they actually did a good job enhancing the graphics, so it's one of the more impressive bootlegs. It's a platformer with a very delayed jump. It's like jumping in Shaq Fu. You have to be very precise with the jumps. This game does not fuck around. You can throw grapes, but you only have a limited supply, and they go in this weird arc. It's probably why the game is so enthusiastic when you actually hit something.
Oh, yeah!
There's actually a run button, and holy shit! He's blue and he runs fast. He's just like Sonic. He even does the foot tap thing. Honestly, this game is slightly more fun than the others just because of how ridiculously fast you can go. The levels aren't built for it though, so you're gonna die very quickly. Where's the bug? Little bug. Now he's dead. Flappy Bird. Well, you can't fuck this up, right? Oh my god, they didn't fuck it up. It's Flappy Bird. It was the most popular game in the world for literally 1 week. The physics aren't exactly good as the mobile version, but it works. Not much to say. It's Flappy Bird, so... yeah. Madagascar 3. Just fucking end it already. Oh, look at that. The sprites clash. Remember this guy from the movie?
Wait, I know you. Aren't you the villain from the movie Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted?
How is that climbing a ladder? That's right, folks. We got fall damage in a platformer. There's sort of a surreal quality to this one. Like, everything just feels off. Especially the music. Really? I died from that high up? Yeah, this one's great. This is an Ice Age 4. It's a reskin of Scrambler Blamblor. The attack doesn't make sense. Oh, there's too many enemies. Oh, the level design sucks. Wait a minute, that's not Peter Griffin. Alright, almost done. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is a reskin of Mick and Mac the Global Gladiators, as you can tell by the very appropriate menu music. Mick and Mac was a tie-in game with McDonald's, although besides the opening cutscene and the M in the corner, the game has nothing to do with McDonald's. So it's funny that this Harry Potter bootleg actually makes more sense than the McDonald's branding. The biggest problem is that it takes too long to build up your run, and it just makes the platforming more frustrating than it needs to be. If you are dying to play a McDonald's tie-in game on Genesis that was repurposed to be vaguely about Harry Potter, then congratulations, one person. You need to make better goals. Finally, we're on our last game. I can see the light at the end of this tunnel. Harry Potter and the Stein of Welsen. Well, spelling and inappropriate push start text aside, at least they have a crappy bootleg rendition of the Harry Potter theme. So maybe this one will be okay. It's the goddamn Pokemon fucking thing that are ripped off. Again. You're collecting balls, although this time Dobby is chasing you. I think it's Dobby. Either that or an escaped fetus. The game respawned me right next to the enemies with nowhere to run. You're half the size of the castles. The second level, they just gave up pretending this is Harry Potter. It's the same as the Pokemon game, just with a different color filter. 1 Dobby out of 10 Dobbies. Well, that was a waste of time. But you know, these bootlegs made me realize something. Not the actual games, all of them are dog shit, but I realized that piracy is awesome. I think it's cool that countries that can't afford new games because of import taxes or poverty improvise and play huge collections of old games on retro systems. Although I guess it's actually not considered retro over there. Still, it shows how universally appealing the classics are and how we're all able to connect over video games, no matter the circumstances. So let's give it up for the true gamers. The Brazilians with their hacked PS2s, the Russians with their modded PSPs, that Turkish Game Boy multicart that my friend had. Here's to the emulators, the legally obtained ROM dumps, the homebrew channel, the modded 3DSs, the EverDrives, and the digital archivists keeping these games alive, even the shitty ones. Let's all give it up for piracy.
Disclaimer, this channel does not advocate piracy.
Stop all the downloading!